Hi, today we are going to be using voice control using the numbers grid. A couple of things with that. When you have numbers displayed on the screen, it is not necessary to say the word tap first. You can just select whatever number it is that you want and have it go to that. If, however, you are finding that you're having difficulty, you can just go ahead and say the word tap before the number as well. Additionally, if you use the show numbers command, as soon as you say a number, the numbers disappear. It's possible to also put the numbers up where they stay on continuously by using show numbers continuously in order to do so. I do have voice control on and active right now. You can tell because of the microphone up in the top left corner by my time. That shows that my voice control is not only on, but it's active in listening. The reason why I'm able to say these commands without anything happening is because it's being said all together in a sentence. In order for voice control to recognize a command, there has to be a slight pause before the command is said. So what happens is if I'm in a sentence, I can say command words after command words after command words, and it's no big problem because it's all running together. Voice control is looking for that opportunity where the command starts something. So even if I say something incorrect, if I try to do a command, it will give me some kind of visual cue as to maybe try this instead. So if I said, so today what we're going to do, though, is we're going to use the numbers. And I'm also going to show you how it's possible to customize voice control so that you don't have to say tap even if numbers aren't being shown. Numbers come in really handy if you're not sure what something is called on the screen, or if you, or if whatever it is just something that's really long, or if you just need a visual reminder of what it is that you need to say for something. In addition to the numbers command, there's also show names, which will show you the names of which every item is. When using the numbers, do not memorize numbers because numbers will change based off of what is selectable on the screen at any given time. So, today the number 5 might be used for one thing, but then if I added something else to my screen above that, 5 would no longer work for that one. So I don't want you to get into the habit of trying to memorize what numbers to select. This is really big, and I'll show it to you in text messages because in the messages you can see the more that gets added to the message thread, it changes the layout of what the keyboard looks like because now each individual message from that thread is now a selectable item. So, in order to get the numbers to show, the original command is show numbers. We're going to just do a little bit of a pause so that voice control knows that I'm trying to talk to it. Show numbers. And now I have a list of numbers. It looks like voice control lays them out starting at the top left of the screen and moving across and then down to the next line, kind of like you would read. And each number comes out. So now that we have these different numbers here, I can just say whatever number that is related to each app in order to open up that application. So 7. I didn't have enough of a pause there between the word so and 7, and that's why that did not work for me. 7. And I just opened up the Yahtzee app. I now have a list of items that are showing on my screen. It's asking Yahtzee wants to be able to send me some notifications, and I need to say whether I want to allow this or not allow it. A couple of things. If I wanted to clear the message off the screen, I could use the command go back. If I wanted to actually make a selection, I could say either allow or don't allow, but I'd want to preface it with the word tap. So personally, I do not want Yahtzee to send me notifications, so I would say don't allow. And the way I would say that would be like tap, don't allow, and then that would go ahead and give it the information as to what I wanted. But today we're using numbers in order to do so. And as you can see, the numbers have disappeared off of the screen. So this time when I ask it to show me the numbers, I'm going to have it keep the numbers up there so I don't have to keep saying show numbers in between every command that I do. Show numbers continuously. Okay, and then if you can see it, the number 1 has been allotted for allow, and number 2 has been allotted for don't allow. And as if you recall, I said I didn't want to allow it, so I'm just going to use number 2 in order to go ahead and complete this. 2. And now here I am, and I'm in Yahtzee, and I've got a game that's going for me to be able to go ahead and play. But I didn't actually want to play Yahtzee. There's only one number currently showing on my screen, and that's number 1, and it's up in the top left corner. It appears that Yahtzee is not fully adapted for voice control, and that's okay. That's where you would get into using the grid, and but this video is not about the grid, so we can learn more about the grid at another time. Since we're in Yahtzee and we no longer want to be here, there's a couple of different things that we can say. We can say go home, and we'll go back to the home screen. If there's another app that we want to be in, we can just use the open command followed by that app. We don't have to return to the home screen in order to open or switch apps. So let's go ahead and jump on over to Safari. Open Safari. So now we're in Safari here, and we've got our numbers displayed as to what we can do. There's a couple different numbers showing up there at the top, and the one that we want in order to get us into the search field is number 2. 2. It goes into the search field. It automatically highlights all of the selected text, just like you would expect if you had it tapped up there. And we can just go ahead and replace it. Command mode. Unfortunately, I did not realize that I was in dictation mode at that time, and so everything that I just said went into my search bar. I want to be back to where all of that information is selected. Select all. And now if I go ahead and I say something, I can go ahead and start typing it if I put myself back in dictation mode. While I'm talking, if you see up at the top, below the line that I'm entering, there's a little black box with a line going through it, and that's telling us that the dictation portion of voice control has been turned off. We would have to switch back to that mode in order for that to come on. I'm just going to go ahead and delete what's already there. You don't have to use the delete command. You can just start talking to replace it, just like you would do if you had something highlighted and wanted to replace it and you weren't using voice control. I'm just using the delete command to clear it all up. Delete. Delete all. Because I have a keyboard on the screen, delete is actually another option for me, and it's currently encompassed by the number 40, if you can see that. Okay, and I want you to remember that, because right now delete has the number 40, but later delete could be a different number altogether. And that's what I meant by not trying to memorize what the number locations are when you're using voice control. If you're using numbers for voice control, then really sight is going to be a requirement so that you can see what's going on. There may be something, that you do specifically in order to get somewhere, and it might possibly be able to memorize numbers for that, but a software update, for instance, an update to that application could change where those numbers are. And that would just create more frustration for a person, I would believe. So instead, just think of numbers as being something that you visually have to be with your phone for. So we're just going to switch on over into dictation mode, and we're going to do a search. I would like to search for elephants in space. And I'm going to purposely type in some more stuff than what I want, but that's just so that I can show you some of the commands with correcting dictation, editing your dictation. So first things first is we have to get into dictation mode so that it will write what we want. Dictation mode. It's already in the field. And so whatever we say, it's going to start typing. Now, I obviously didn't want that because that's not the search that we said. Delete all. Pink elephants in space. Replace pink with orange. Select orange. Delete that. Select in space. Delete that. Command mode. Okay, and I'm dropping over to command mode so that we can have a brief discussion here. If you recall before, our number for deleting was number 40. If you look now at the keyboard, number 40 is our go, and 35 is actually delete. So that's what I meant about the numbers changing. There's less items on the screen that are selectable, so by the time it gets down to the keyboards are at lower numbers. And you may have noticed changes as we were going back and forth in the different screen change. And that's what, what I'm referring to. So I want to actually go ahead and do the search here, and I want to go. I'm going to just using my numbers. 40. And as it searches here and things start to reload, my numbers are coming through. And we're just going to wait for our numbers to finish. Everything's done. And I don't know, I kind of like that picture that's shown of the multiple elephants. So let's take a bit closer look at that. 23. Okay, and wonderful. And so now I'm taking a look and I'm able to see this. And if I want to share that photo, the ability is there with number 6. 6. And now I can choose how I want to share it. I'm going to send it to myself as a message. 8. I can't type in this field right now. And because I have the command mode on. So if we switch over to dictation mode. Val. Command mode. Okay, and if you caught that, what happened here is when I put in my name, it took a minute before the whole screen populated with numbers. It didn't take a minute, but you see what I'm saying. It took a few moments before the whole screen populated with numbers. And I wanted to wait for that population to occur because without waiting for that population to occur, me saying a number could be the wrong number for what it is that I'm looking for. I'm going to send this message to myself, and I'm the one depicted with the picture of the taco. So, 6. 6. Okay, and if I want to add a comment or some sort, I need to jump down to where that option is. If I was using words in order to get there, I could say the word tap followed by what's actually in that field right now, which says add comment or send. But we're using numbers. 8. And I'm going to show you can type using your keyboard. You can type using the numbers, 18. 41, 29, 18, 9, 41, 13, 29, 13, 20, 10, Move left 1 character. 22. And I've typed what I wanted. It now says I like elephants. 7. And I went ahead and sent that picture off to myself. We're going to take a look at that again later. Actually, we'll go take a look at it right now. Open messages. And there I am with the message received, I like elephants. And that's currently number 7. 7. So let's say that I wanted to add like an exclamation or something to that effect, where with your hands, what you would do is you would touch and hold it so that you'd have the different options. With voice control, you have to actually tell it that you want to tap and hold it. So tap and hold 4. And now I have all of my different choices. And 1. 1. And be patient with it. Sometimes, especially if you're talking while you're doing it, just realize that it might be that you're saying it too quickly based off of the last word that was said and it's not recognizing it. If you have an accent kind of like mine, and you feel like machinery has a hard time picking up what you say, if you work on it and you come to a slow, even pace, not a slow, even pace, but a steady, even pace, you'll find it works a little bit better. I'm actually only having difficulty because of all of the times that I stop and have a conversation with you all. Okay, and so we've now stated that we love those elephant pictures that are going there. And so that's just showing you really how numbers work. And it was really great because I didn't have to say like tap 4, tap 3, tap 2, although I could have said that. So if I want to see more information, actually, let me show you this. I talked about how your messages change, or how the keyboard changes based off of what's on the screen. And we've seen that a little bit already, but let's just go a little further. So we need to have the keyboard come up, which means we need to be in the field where texting is appropriate or typing is appropriate. 8. Now we have a keyboard. The first item in the keyboard is the letter Q. That's currently listed as number 16. We have 2 messages that are currently showing on the screen that are selectable. I don't even have to select those messages to show you this changing. Scroll up. Scroll up. I now only have 1 message on the screen that is selectable, and Q has now been switched from 16 to 15 as its number. If I write a few little messages, it could be that Q could make it all the way up to 20, or even further, depending on what is showing on the screen. Additionally, if my text was set to be larger or smaller, that would also change my placement because it would allow for more or less items to show on the screen at that point. If you see a little circle on the screen with a dot in the middle and it's right there in that iMessage input box, that's because I said tap and hold at some point. We can remove that by saying go back or go home. Go home. It's still showing there, and that just looks like it's a glitch in this use of voice control right now. And that's okay. They work themselves out. Open messages. Dictation mode. Hi. 7. Command mode. And now because I'm texting myself, I wrote hi and hi came back again. So now I have 4 messages on the screen that are selectable. And Q has now moved to number 19. Dictation mode. Heart emoji. 10. And we now have even more items that are selectable, and Q is now 19. So that's where we have shown how that's possible. I could have said at any time to tap something. And as you see, I still have my dictation on, so it's repeating everything that I say in there. It does a really good job of picking it up, too. And then you could go back and do some text editing if you really needed to. I'm just going to delete it all. Delete all. And we're back to where we need to be. Delete all. Command mode. And so if you are trying to have a conversation while you're in a text input box, just remember to switch over to command mode, and that will allow you to go ahead and do so. Something else you might do on the screen is maybe you need to change your keyboard. Tap and hold 50. Emoji. 20. Now we're in our different emojis where we can go ahead and we can select different emoji numbers. 22. 22. 11. And that's a festive emoji. I'm not sure what the name of that emoji is. Like, what words would you have to type for that emoji to be what comes up? But if I did know what it was, I could just say that followed by emoji, and it would bring me that emoji without having to go into changing the keyboard and such like that. So there's that as an option too. Go home. Okay, and now I said that I would show you how you can customize your settings so that once you're more comfortable with voice control, you can go ahead and you can just use the names of things. But let me show you what that means first of all. So I could say here, like let's say we decided we wanted to open messages again from this screen. A couple of different ways to do it. I could say open messages and it would go ahead and open it. Remember, I don't have to be on the home screen in order to do that. Messages is currently displayed on my screen. So I could say tap followed by the word messages, and it would go ahead and it would open that up. And because I have my numbers turned on, I could use the number that is associated with messages, which is 29, in order to do it. So if I decided to use the number, I could just say the number. But let's say I didn't want to have numbers on the screen, and I still didn't want to have to say the word tap. That's what we're going to look at. So let me first show it to you with it turned off, because that's the default. Messages. And you see I get these suggested commands that come up, and one of them is that I could say, open, or I could say tap. And it's also giving me the option to drop messages because there is a tap and hold still taking place on my screen. Tap messages. And messages have now opened up for me. But I don't want to have to say tap after everything. So let's go switch that. Open settings. And here we are, we're at the main settings screen. Scroll up. Scroll up. Scroll up. Okay, and so we have scrolled up. You see we're at the very main settings screen. This is where it all starts. Voice control is an accessibility feature, so that's where we need to go. Scroll down. And we have accessibility listed there, and it's number 4 if we were using numbers. We're not using numbers any longer. I think we figured out how that works. Now I'm going to be using those other commands where it requires that we have to say tap first. So, accessibility. I'm not able to just say that because I don't have that feature turned on yet. I want to be able to just say that. So, here we go. Tap accessibility. Okay, we now need to get down to voice control. Scroll down. Scroll down. Tap voice control. Tap voice control. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of a cold here. Tap voice control. Okay, and so I love it when I'm trying to make a video and something doesn't work with me. And this seems to be something that just needs to go through and be corrected. It's probably going to improve the more voice control is out there. It's still pretty new. Luckily, I do still have my numbers showing on the screen. 5. All right, and what we're looking to do is we're looking to customize those commands. Tap customize commands. And the command that we want to customize is part of the basic navigation. Tap basic navigation. The one we want is currently the bottom item on my screen. By default, it's turned off. If you're looking at the numbers, it's the one that's selected with number 11. And it's a caret item name caret. It says it's off. And right above that one says tap, caret, item name, caret. And that's the command that is currently turned on where I have to say tap first. So I'm going to leave that command on, but I'm also going to enable the other command. That way, whether I remember to say tap or I don't remember to say tap, I'll be able to go ahead and use it. The truth is that I don't, generally I have the need to say tap turned off, so that I don't have to remember to say it. And that's why sometimes when I'm doing a video, I have to remind myself to say tap. But this name, I'm not really sure how to get it to take it with those 2 carets. And if you were to tell it to show you the names, it still shows it exactly the way it is. So this is one of those instances where numbers work better because I'm not really sure how to pronounce what that name is. 11. And we just want to go ahead and enable it. Tap enabled. 2. Okay, and so now we no longer have to say the word tap before things. Back. Go back. Go back. Go back. Go back. Go back. All right, now we're back at the beginning of the settings. And if you remember before, we had to say like tap accessibility in order to get there. So now we should just be able to say the word. Accessibility. Scroll down. Voice control. You see how much smoother that is? In my opinion anyways. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go home, go home, go home. And here we are back at the home screen. I'm finished with the numbers for now. I don't want those. Hide numbers. And they're gone. Originally what we were doing was we were trying to open up messages without having to say tap or open. We just want to be able to say messages. Messages is currently showing on the screen. That is important for this. If it's not on the screen, it wouldn't be something that you'd be able to say when you're just using a command of the item. Messages. And now we're back in there. So if I was going to go through and I was going to type a message in this manner, I could go, let's start from the beginning. So go back. Go back. Okay, so I have my list of messages here. Before I had a number showing. When I want to select a message, it's just whatever their contact name is. So if you have a really long contact name or you put a lot of unnecessary information in the contact name, it could make it hard to select that contact. But if you encounter something like that, use the show numbers so that you can get there. Another thing is like, I have some friends whose names are, I might not pronounce them correctly. Or maybe it's just that, me and voice control aren't recognizing them. It's possible to add those things to the vocabulary so voice control recognizes it as a word. That can come in a later video. But today we're just going to go through and I'm going to show you how, like, if I was trying to send a message to somebody, just how easy it is if I don't have to show numbers and I have that new command that we just customized. So starting from the beginning, let's go home. Go home. And we're here at our home screen. Now, this isn't my main home screen. If you can see down at the bottom, I'm quite a few numbers over. But we can get back to the main screen just with the go home command again. Go home. And if you think about it, that's the same thing you would have done if you were using your hands. You would just, if you have a phone with a home button, you would have pressed the home button again to return to the main home screen. If you're using a phone that has Face ID, you would have slid up from the bottom of the screen again. And so now that we're here at home, we're just going to go into messages, write a message, and get that. Messages. Val. Val. You see what I mean about it not understanding me? It doesn't even understand my own name. Valerie Stracolersi. Text message. How are you today? Oh, you see that? I got the symbol saying that I'm not in dictation mode. Dictation mode. How are you today? Question mark. Send. And again, if I didn't know what the items were, like let's say I wanted to add in a picture for her, I could do delete all. Command mode. I wanted to add a picture in for her and I wasn't exactly sure what, the button for the camera is called. Show names. And now I have it. So I have two options. I can either add, straight from my photos, or I could add from the camera and I could actually go ahead and take a picture. And we could go do that. Camera. Show names. Take picture. Show names. Send. And just like that, we've sent a picture. Now let her know, because this isn't actually me. This is now my aunt that we're sending to. So let me just let her know that I'm playing around. Text message. Dictation mode. No need to respond, comma. I am just playing around for a video for YouTube. Send. Go home. And one other thing I wanted to show you was just how, again, emphasizing how it has to be on the screen if you're going to speak it. App Store. So we're able to get to the App Store, right? And it opened up. Go home. Scroll right. The App Store is not currently showing on the screen. App Store. See, it's telling me I need to say open App Store because App Store is not currently showing. And so that's where you encounter things like that. Pay attention to those options that will come up. And, if you're doing something wrong, those are the suggestions. It's saying, hey, look, we recognize you're trying to do a command, but this is the way that you should be saying it to make sure that that's really what you want. And then additionally, when if you encounter trouble, you can just say, what can I say? And it will give you a whole list of items that you can say as well. Done. You can even use voice control to turn off voice control. but you cannot use it to turn it back on. So I'm going to end out this video. One thing, I'm going to end it out by turning off voice control using it. But before we do so, I'll show you the other way that we would have gone through. Open Control Center. Open Control Center. Show names. And now my voice control is not responding. But we would have just come here and we would have stopped it that way. Turn off voice control. Now, in order to actually execute it, we would have to tell it that we need to execute this. This is to prevent it from being accidentally turned off. Execute.